to 1407 Great Malkin Lane. This is the living memory of the X-Men. Don't let anyone tell you different. Okay, I'm here interviewing like one of my favorite X-Men writers. He did like I remember little quick story. I started like I read his first book, like Excalibur 107, and I thought this is so good. It came out like a season premiere, just gave you everything you needed to know. Everything. Ladies and gentlemen, Ben Raab, let's go.
Hello. How are you?
Uh,
Thank
I-
you for having me.
yeah. Oh, thank you for accepting. Like this is
I'm
so
sorry it took so long. I know you asked
no,
me like I realized it's been like over a year since you asked me, and I'm so sorry it took this long to get
no,
here.
man. You were busy. You told me you were right. You had other stuff going on. I get it. I totally understand. Like I get. Thank you for spending. Better late than never.
Of course.
So, you wrote like you started out as an editor for Bob Harris in the
Mhm.
early '90s, right? Am I correct?
Yeah, yeah. I was in the I started in the X office in January of '94. I was the assistant editor on the X books, the five central X titles:
Hmm.
X-Men, Uncanny X-Men, Wolverine, uh, Gen X, and
X Force and X
the
Factor
hell else did we do?
and
And X
Cable.
Force, X Force. No,
Yeah.
not X Factor.
Oh,
No, we didn't do those, but X Force,
really?
X Force.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. We had other editors who handled those who handle X Factor and
Okay.
Cable.
Okay.
But before that, I started as an intern in the special projects department.
Hmm.
I was working summer of '93 is when I started there, doing trading cards and posters.
Hmm.
And the reason I even got the X-Men job, because it was the time where Marvel was growing every year. It was the
Absolutely.
boom of the '90s, which we all
Oh,
remember
yeah.
before the bust. But they were doing a Fleer trading card set for the X-Men. I think it was the 94,
I
95 series.
remember
And I was,
that. I remember that.
yeah,
Okay. Yep.
yeah. And I would have to go in and get, like, reference for the artists on the characters that maybe they didn't know. And so I knew, page and panel down to where exactly to find the right things to send them. And so because I was in and out of that office constantly, when there was an opportunity to get hired, um, I mean, I was very lucky. I was in a great position. Special projects wanted to bring me on board, which I was like, oh, that's cool. It's a job, right? I'm
Yeah.
out of college, it's a
Y-
job working at the best place in the world, right?
Hey, I get it.
Um, right? Who wouldn't want to work at Marvel? And then, but I was like, but I don't really love trading cards and posters. It's really
Yeah.
not why I want to be in the business. I mean, the comics are happening right here. I would love to be a part of that.
Yeah.
And then Don Daly, who was the editor of the Punisher books, was about to promote his assistant, and he said, "Hey, if you want to come to my office, love to have you. Hear good things." And I'm like, "Oh, that would be really cool. It's comics, but I'm not a huge Punisher fan, So
it
I was like,
was always like it's
but I was
good,
like,
but
okay,
not quite there.
yeah, it's yeah, again, a cool character, but just not my jam. And I was like, okay, well then maybe I'll do that. That'll be a step into it. And then Bob Harris heard that I was, entertaining that position, and he's like, listen, I'm promoting my assistant. Just give me a couple weeks. Hold off before you make a decision. I want to bring you aboard the X books. And I was like, that's the dream job. That's why I'm here.
Right.
And it happened.
Man, it's crazy. Like I've been going through your work like with the X office. You assisted edit like you mentioned those before, but you also wrote
Yeah.
for like not only for Excalibur, you did some X-Men work, right? Oh
Mm-hmm.
no, wait,
I did
no.
some I did some scripting over
Yeah,
some Scott Lobdell plots for adjectiveless X-Men
you're right.
issue the with Carlos Pacheco art, which was amazing.
Right.
Where Shang-Chi was part of the story.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
the
yeah.
three issues.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah, I remember that. It happened '97, right? Like that
something
was
like that. Yeah.
yeah, that was cool. That was really cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
I had some questions, and like I guess you kind of went through the first one, but I guess the second one it would be um, what who was your favorite character to write for?
I mean, Nightcrawler was always my favorite character in the X-Men, top to bottom.
Yeah.
So the chance to, and also, I mean, listen, him one with Kitty and Colossus a very close second. So like coming out to Excalibur with like to get to write those characters who I grew up reading were, that was an absolute dream come true, and just the most fun that I could have possibly had.
Yeah, right. Like you the love you have for those three characters, I like going back is clearly it's very apparent. Like um I didn't read the Claremont stuff. Like when I got in, I just kind of went straight forward. So when
Mm-hmm.
I was reading your stuff and they were saying you were saying how Colossus and Nightcrawler are like brothers in arms, like and how those two and Kitty are kind of like you called them the Excalibur members of the X-Men. I thought that was really
Mm-hmm.
really clever. Um, you kind of make them into like a little trinity that not a lot of writers since then has really kind of like gotten back into. Like, was that
Oh,
intentional?
really?
Yeah. Like, was that?
I mean, they were. So I grew up loving team books, right? I
Yeah.
always loved team books. X-Men, Avengers, Alpha Flight, New Mutants, like those were the books that just
Yeah.
that was my childhood.
Yeah.
And because they'd been through so much, by the time I got to write the characters, they'd been through so much as X-Men, beyond X-Men, and now they found themselves in this, situation with Excalibur, where it was like, they went from being like the young ones to being the adults, and so it just felt like there's a certain level of experience and a certain level of maturity and a certain level of camaraderie that those three had because they'd been through so much together
Right.
that you had to sort of, you couldn't write them without trying to at least capture that sense of camaraderie that they bring with them from their previous, from their previous gig to
Right.
this gig, you know.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, that's just, I guess I just try. I'm glad that you picked up on that.
Oh yeah, it was
It
great.
wasn't.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
No, no, no. I mean, it wasn't something that like, I wanted to beat the audience over the head with it. I just felt it and tried to bring it out in the writing. I'm glad that it manifested for me.
Yeah, because like you had these really cool like when you had Excalibur being going up against the Sindri, you had this one scene where Nightcrawler and Colossus are fighting using swords to fight him, and you say they know each other so long they're like brothers in arms. And then the next
Mm-hmm.
issue you saw Nightcrawler doing the same thing with Kitty. So I was like, oh, okay,
Mm-hmm.
that's really cool. That's really
Well, I mean, that was like the fun stuff. Even if it was maybe not overtly stated in the Claremont run, because that's what I grew up loving.
yeah,
It was Chris's run, and having to sort of try and step into those shoes is very
yeah.
daunting when you're a fan. You're
Of
like,
course.
I don't want to not do it justice. I want to do the best possible job I can do, knowing that someone else laid the foundation for me. Right. I'm getting to build on it. It's not mine.
Yeah.
I like no claim to it. I get to play with someone else's toys and try and respect what they did. But like, hours and hours spent in the danger room, like like these people are like they're in sync with each other. They've you know
Yeah,
they've learned to sort of fight side by side in a way that you're just like, you can match them with either any one of them together. There's an unspoken level of communication, you know what I mean?
absolutely. But not only those three, like you had like Douglock, Wolfsbane. You kind of had Captain Britain for like a couple of issues, which you took him out.
Yeah,
That was cool. Megan, you
yeah.
made me like Megan a lot more than I thought. Like, who knew? You really put it, her and Colossus together was like, that's weird. And then like the entire time up until like the last issue, you thought, did they? Did they do anything?
Mm.
Like, but nah, it was a nice little
Yeah,
mini plot. Um,
yeah. No, I mean, listen,
also,
we get part of the X books is always a little bit of soap opera and romance and love triangles and you know the fun of writing these characters. And I think the way that keeps it fresh, I mean, look, I know a lot's changed since I wrote the books. It's been 25 years. It's been a really long time, and I know what you're going to ask a question about, the state of the X-Men today. I honestly don't know. I have not been paying attention. I apologize to
Fair enough.
the
Fair enough.
creators that are doing it now. But I knowing that the way comics went in the wake of the 90s, which was event-based storytelling that then sends ripples through things. I I was always of the mind that you didn't need to do events. You just needed to put people together that you might not expect to have a common relationship,
Yeah.
and just turn things. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh,
So I
yeah.
tried to do that with those
Oh no,
characters.
no, no. I get it. Like in when Excalibur ended with issue 125, which I have to this day. The one I had it's great. I started thinking like, what else can they do with this? Because like I because you brought in because you took out the Excalibur members. You still have Wolfsbane, Douglas, Captain Britain, Megan,
Mm-hmm.
but you also brought in Mimic. And you also brought
Mm-hmm.
in Sabra for that cameo in 121, which I thought was real
Mm-hmm.
like she would be like if they were to like the restructure Excalibur, I thought like that would have been really cool. Like what like
Yeah, yeah. There was a plan. So when I after Salvador LaRocca left the book,
Mhm.
um, John Cassaday was supposed to come on as the artist.
Right.
And he and I had, plans to sort of bring in some more international members of the group and make it more of kind of like the Mutant Underground, but globally.
Yeah, like
Because there were mutants on multiple continents and different countries, and Sabra was one of the characters that, because of her being from Mossad,
yeah,
like
of
there was a lot you could do with a character like that.
course.
um Really wanted to lean into the notion that Excalibur was the international X-Men, not just the British or European X-Men, but literally globally international.
That was
Never got to do it, but that was the plan.
yeah, I also liked how you worded that. The European X-Men. I've never seen that before. Like, and I thought like that's that's really cool how like these aren't your regular X-Men. These are like
Right,
they're doing with stuff that's they don't deal with. And
right.
uh it it was just so and I know we were talking about your first arc with the Dragons of the Crimson Dawn. And then you jumped
Mm-hmm.
on to I think it's massively slept on. The Crimson Dawn. That was
Mm.
so cool. Like you had Salvador, like you had apparently you had Salvador for like 8 months of like art. You're and
Yeah, no, I was
what
lucky.
what was the plan with that? Like did you want to like was there a plan for that or that was that just like a one and done like all right, we're not coming back to it.
It kind of was a one and done, but I mean, look, the truth about anything as we know in the X world, is that nothing's done. I mean, listen, the fact that Krakoa is back, I mean, I know it's been a while, but as far as I'm concerned, that was done in 1975. Like, what? How did that come back? But it did.
Yeah.
So anything's possible.
Yeah, yeah, and I always thought because like I reviewed the current books and I keep seeing like they divided Psylocke and I thought like wouldn't the Crimson Dawn be a really good thing to like kind of show how different they are like
Hmm.
because like you kind of left it like the Crimson Dawn still has a claim on Betsy,
Hmm.
a body and soul. So that what does that mean?
Right,
Like
right.
I think the X Office they they do not they don't go back. There's so much story there. There's so much like gold in them hills.
I mean, listen, I'm sure at some point somebody will mine it, because that's kind of how it works. Is that I think certainly when I was doing it, the fact that I got to do Mimic, the fact that I got to bring back the Sidri in a different way. These are relatively obscure, or and moved past characters
Yeah.
that I found a potential hook that allowed me to bring them back and make them relevant to where the characters were in the moment.
Mhm.
Um, like I said, Krakoa being a thing, like
Yeah, yeah, right.
it meant
Crazy.
it meant nobody was doing anything with it. Somebody said I can do something with it, and they ran with it. And I think so. Like I said, you never know these things that you think have been put to bed forever. 10, 15 years from now, they'll be back because
And
someone will come up with a really cool version of how to revive it and
I'm with it. All right, so um, okay, okay. What was your mission statement for Excalibur? Like what? Like I mean, like all in all,
yeah,
you had
yeah,
your
no,
team. Yeah, yeah.
yeah. It was definitely to like I said to lean into the international side of it. Well, it was also to bring it a little bit more into the world of the main X books. I mean, it was satellite in a way that it,
It was
all
in
this
name only.
amazing stuff. Yeah, I mean, all this amazing stuff was happening in the main titles that was changing the sort of face of the X world, and Excal- partly by design, Excalibur was not a part of it. I mean, when Claremont and Alan Davis, launched it, it was clearly meant to just be its own thing,
Right.
right? It was just keeping those the at that point it wasn't even Colossus. It was just obviously Kitty and Kurt and Rachel,
Yeah.
um, you know, uh, vital in their own way without having to be tethered to the X books. But because so many big events were happening that were X-Men related, is like, how can we, even if we don't get to be part of the event, how can we say that the ripples of those events affect
Right.
our characters?
Yeah.
Right. I mean, Moira McTaggart was a perfect example of that with her and the whole legacy virus thing. And like, again, legacy virus happened.
Yeah.
I don't think Excalibur told stories about it, but
Not really.
if
Yeah.
I can just, give one character a connection to something that happened in the main titles, now it no longer feels so disjointed.
Right. Absolutely. I get that. That's
And part of that, listen, was a fight for the survival of the book. I mean,
Mhm.
I got to do 18 issues and that was it.
Mhm.
They pulled the plug. I mean, the sales they were not what some of the other X books were, but
Right.
they were still better than a lot of other things. So it was disappointing to have to let it go. But any attempt I could make to sort of breathe life from the other things into it and keep it afloat was really my personal mission statement.
Oh,
I did
that
not succeed,
what?
but
No,
I
no,
tried.
no, 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 no. You did a great job because like you started the hunt for Xavier that concluded in X-Men. It started out in your book. Nobody can take that away.
Mhm.
So like they can say, "Oh, that's an X-Men time." No, no, that's an Excalibur arc. It just bled over to
All
the X-Men. Like and
right, I'll take it.
um also like you said Nightcrawler is one of your favorite characters, and I noticed that because like you changed his uniform from the I guess what was it, like a t-shirt, a cutout t-shirt with the sword.
The Carlos Pacheco, the
Yeah.
buzz cut, and the yeah, yeah.
I and then you kind of like you switch and had him wear his old stuff, but you commented on it. Like I remember Beast, he was talking to Beast and he's like we think like you wearing old stuff. He's like, yeah, just thought about it today. Yeah, it's comfortable.
Yeah.
I like how you
Yeah,
I
I mean, look,
like I like that stuff.
I, no, I love the old design. I mean, listen, by the way, I really like the Carlos Pacheco designs too, and I
Yeah,
actually Carlos was very sweet, and he gifted me that page that cover
yeah,
of the issue of him where he appears that way.
yeah.
I think it's a really cool look. It's for me, it was always that original look,
Right.
um, but I mean, so I also believe that you should be able to play with the characters' costumes. Like,
Right.
yes, they have a look, they have a style. At the same time, it's like the idea of them wearing the same thing every day. It's like,
It's like,
it's weird.
come on. How
A
do
little
you
weird.
wash that thing?
That's
Like,
right. That's right.
like, do you use special like fabric softener? Do you
Right. Right.
like whatever?
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Exactly.
so post Excalibur, you were like, you didn't have a book anymore. What happened afterwards? Uh,
Uh, let's see. What did I do after that? I mean, I did a 4 issue Hellfire Club miniseries.
yeah,
Um, which that one was a lot of fun. With Charlie Adlard, who
Yeah,
eventually went on to do Walking Dead.
yeah,
Um, I did, and then I came back to the 4 issue Excalibur Sword of Power miniseries,
yeah. I
where we
remember.
get to sort
Yeah.
of repower Captain Britain. And then I
Finally.
started doing more work for yeah, exactly. I started doing more work for DC, and I ended
Okay,
up in their camp for a little while.
nice. Like
You
it,
know, did Green Lantern for a year.
nice.
Yeah.
That's really like I noticed a lot of like writers from who were at Marvel in the 90s. Most all like a lot of them go over to DC. Is there like a
Mm-hmm.
reason for that, or just like I want to try out these characters, or like
I mean, listen, you grow up loving comics, you grow up loving a wide swath of them, and yeah, there were definitely characters I would have wanted to get my hands on and play with, and um, I mean, look, at Marvel, it, things dried up a little bit. To
yeah,
be perfectly honest, I don't think I had fans in editorial that were keen on giving me more work. I mean, it just kind of happens. You pitch a couple things, they get rejected, and then you hear from an editor that maybe people in charge aren't they don't see you as sellable or whatever. It's fine.
yeah.
It's how it goes. It's just how it
The
goes.
business.
It's the business. It is. It absolutely is. And so you move on. And I was able to, I made some connections at DC and pitched some things there. Did a Beast Boy miniseries that I co-wrote with Jeff Johns, which kind of got me kind of in the camp a little bit.
Nice.
And it's very funny because I was in New York, he was in LA, and we both pitched almost identical stories to the same editor around the same time, who was like, well, I could either pick one of them, or you guys, if you want, you can collaborate together. We're like, great. So we did that, and it was a blast. We had a wonderful time.
Nice.
And then so that got me, a little bit more known at DC. And then I was pitching Mike Carlin a 2-part Hawkman and Hawkgirl story for Legends of the DCU, which was sort of like their anthology series at the time.
Right.
And this was like late 99, early 2000, roughly. And they DC Direct was about to put out a Hawkman and Hawkgirl, the action figure set,
Yeah.
the two, the 2-pack.
Yeah.
And I think we had Michael Lark attached as an artist, and they were like, why don't we make this a bigger thing? So we did instead of just 2 individual issues, we did a 3-part mini prestige format mini series that came out, called Legend of the Hawkman. And Silver Age story. It was I treated it as sort of a year 1 story for them,
Yeah.
where the character, they've come from Thanagar, they're here on Earth, they're supposed to be, sort of these space cops on Earth, and he's just so fascinated in archaeology.
Yeah.
She's kind of missing home. They're looking, kind of at the beginning of their relationship together, looking at their life. What's it going to be? She's wanting to go back. He wants to stay here.
Right.
And ultimately, they get embroiled in this larger cosmic story with, ancient Thanagarian gods and stuff like that. That makes them realize that this place is their home. And it was kind of a parallel for what my wife and I were going through, because we moved from New York to Los Angeles around that time. So it just
Okay.
gave me perfect fodder for a story. And so when I pitched it, at the time, DC used to have this. Their editorial process was all the senior editors had to sign off on a pitch, and there was a sheet that they would all sort of fill out, and pass to each other, and once it made the rounds, it would go back and they'd decide whether or not to pick up a project. And again, this is probably the best compliment I've ever gotten in my comics career, and I will never forget it. Is it was Mike Carlin, who obviously approved the story to begin with, so he was
Yeah.
down for it.
Yeah.
So this other editor, Dan Raspler, who had some notes, and then Denny O'Neil, the legendary Denny O'Neil, who had written just one line and said, "Best takes on the Hawks, well, ever." And so that
Nice.
got greenlit, and that, I mean, that like, not to pat myself on the back,
Yeah,
but
that's
like
pretty
I
good.
yeah, no, if I could have that on my tombstone, I'd have it on my tombstone, because that
It's
that
like
was
I want to get it
the best.
plaqued.
Yeah, yeah. I think I still have that sheet somewhere. I haven't found it, but I'm pretty sure I kept that. I wouldn't throw that out.
No, man, you can't, man. That's better than gold. What
Yeah,
are you talking? Um,
yeah.
like I noticed that your style, your writing style, like you said, bro, you like to write team books. You like to
Hmm.
um like they're friends. Like all of them are like
Hmm.
you like to make they're a family, but they're
Hmm.
there's some that are more closer than others, and you did I thought you did a really good job with Douglock showing his
Oh.
isolation because like with
Hmm.
him he was he was in he was infatuated with Wolfsbane and like
Hmm.
his he kind of went as somebody who's clearly the most logical person on the team. He kind of went crazy. He almost exposed the entire team to biological virus
Yeah.
just because he had a
You know
crush.
that. Yeah. We do stupid things for love, don't we?
Yeah, but you're a robot, man. You're a robot. The logic got
Ah, but he's got the heart and soul of a human in there.
there you go.
That's the thing. I mean, I wasn't a fan of the name Doug Locke. I kind of hated that. I'll be honest.
Yeah.
But I liked the character. That's the thing. Like, I remember Doug Ramsey as Kitty's friend who was not a mutant until he was or whatever. I forget how he was introduced, but and the fact that Warlock was such a cool character when they introduced him, in New Mutants in the Sienkiewicz run. Um, so like I said, it was just fun to sort of play with that particular character. Just wish they'd had a better name.
I thought it was cool because like I said before, I didn't know Doug Ramsey or Warlock, so them
Hmm.
together was cool. I thought
Hmm.
and the fact that he was connected to the Phalanx and you addressed
Hmm.
that, like
Right.
he's still
Right.
it, there's so much more.
Again, another major Marvel event that, or at least X-Men event, I should
Yeah, yeah,
say,
yeah.
that needed to ripple into this book.
Absolutely. I personally, I think the Phalanx Covenant is probably one of my favorite arcs because you take out the X-Men right away and you have the auxiliary teams. You saw that Excalibur,
Mm-hmm.
X Factor, and X Force all had value.
Mm-hmm.
Like if
Yeah.
you don't have the X-Men, they're there. It
Right.
was
Right. Right. And that's when I started as an assistant editor right when that was about to launch. So I got hired, and those books were about to start coming out. Like Uncanny 312 was the first book that went out while I was in that office. And then yeah, Fast Covenant was gearing up, and then I got to be a part of the Age of Apocalypse launch, which was huge, and that was fun because I mean, people were up in arms. The fans were losing their minds about the fact that the X-Men books were being canceled,
change.
and they couldn't handle it. I mean, I literally had to talk it. I got a phone call that I probably should have not answered, but I did answer it. And it was an irate fan that was ripping into us, and I had to sort of talk them off the ledge without spoiling anything. That like, listen, I get you're angry that the books are going away, but just wait until we get to that month, and you'll see what's happening.
like watch the movie, okay? You can't be mad.
Yeah.
Oh,
So.
there had to be oh my, I remember that as a kid, just how it happened, the crystallization of everything, and
Hmm.
oh, and this is before the internet. All we had was Wizard, and Wizard
Right.
was Wizard likes to mess with you. They like to tease you, and you had no idea what was going on. Like it was
Right.
it was a but also you wrote another limited series of my favorite of mine, New Mutants True for Death.
Oh, that was fun. Yeah.
I didn't once again, you introduced me to the New Mutants. Like I was
That's
reading
right.
all the books at the time. So
Hmm.
like Danny, Sam, Rain, like all of them coming down, like, oh snap, they're all together. They actually talk they all get
Hmm.
together and talk about this team that they always talk about. It's like, hey, remember
Right.
what was the whole
Right.
idea going into that? Like, how did you why did you choose Matt Ileana as the focal point as the focal point?
But she did.
Yeah,
I mean, like
three of them were
that's like,
dead.
but no, but it's like, but she died. Her death was so tragic and sad because she was what, a 6-year-old girl who got sick and died, right?
True.
Like so, so it so that version of her, like it all started. I wanted to do a time travel story.
Yeah.
Wanted to do a story about meeting your younger selves, right? Like, what if you could tell your younger self anything
Yeah.
about your, who you are now, what would you
Yeah.
do? And looking at that group and going, oh, wait a minute, there's certainly one person who's not there to have that conversation. It's
Yeah.
like that's why I wanted to, and then also to get, if I recall correctly, I don't think magic was in circulation at that time.
No, she was not.
So it was a
She was.
so it
She
was
was
a
not.
chance to sort of have her be, be back in the world again. Um,
That,
yeah.
it was like I thought it was just such a like you had a great artist, you had a great team. And where would you put that continuity wise? Like, where would you say like, oh, this story happened here?
Oh, geez, that's a good question. Once upon a time, I could answer that. Now I have no idea.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Okay, fair
you
enough.
know,
It's a lot of it has more lore than Doctor Who, and
well, I mean, it would have to be when, because we had Mikhail in there too, and I think
he was time
was he dead
traveling.
at that point?
No, he had
Yeah, so maybe that's, I don't know. I don't know. I have to reread it, but I could
yeah,
probably figure it out based
right.
on reading it. But
I love
but
like
I just love the moment when they see each other and it's like, oh my god, they've been brought back together.
it was such a nice moment, and then when Cypher revealed like no, she didn't get the legacy back. She got it from you. Like what?
Right.
That is a reveal that no one else has touched since, and I've been waiting on it. Like Mikhail
I,
gave
I don't know.
her
Maybe
disease.
yeah. Yeah, listen, maybe they don't want to touch it. I don't know.
It's
I guess
funny.
I hit a
I
lot of
think
third
that's
rails,
fun. That's
maybe.
there. Like I swear there should be like an X-Men therapy couch where like they just tell all the stuff that's happened and like why
Right,
are you even friends?
right.
Oh yeah. But did you like all right? If you were asked to come back to the X-Men, like what would be
Mhm.
your pitch?
Oh, jeez. I don't know. I mean, like I said, I'm not up on where they're
Yeah,
at, who's alive,
anything
who's dead,
like you
who's in
like
charge. I mean, I think if I could do anything in that world,
what would you want to explore?
I don't know. I mean, yeah, I think I mean, listen, it's X-Men adjacent. I've always had a sweet spot
Of
for
course,
Alpha Flight. Would love to, get more involved in them
I like
again. We
that.
did Cassidy and I did the X-Men Alpha Flight, two-parter miniseries, which was fun. But so that's definitely a world I would love to explore. I, gosh, I wish I had a pitch.
I like that
I
Alpha
feel like I
Flight.
have some, yeah, I have some unfinished business. I think with that X-Men Hellfire Club miniseries, that's something that I really liked, and
Go.
and given what the world is today, I think it would be interesting to tell a story about, I mean, the Hellfire Club. Yes, they are this weird sort of fetishistic looking
Eyes wide shut.
organization of mutants. Yeah, they got that going, but at the same time, I mean, these are, if you think about it, they are the one percenters.
Yeah,
And so what do you do when you're part of the 1%, and you have, not only do you have money and power, you have actual mutant power,
yeah.
you know not to sort of neuter them and make them heroes, but like, is there anyone in there that I mean, I know they've done stuff with Emma Frost
Sure,
and
sure.
her being part of the X-Men and all that, but like, is there anyone that says, with all this power, what can we do for good? Like, is it, what if the Hellfire Club decided, you know what, we're going to, because we are so fucking powerful, yes, we're going to do it for our own selfish reasons, but good's going to come of it. And how would that affect the group as a whole? I
That
don't know, maybe something like that.
that that would be very interesting because they're rebuilding the Hellfire Club right now with Wilson Fisk, and Iron Man being heads of the Hellfire Club. Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
that's what.
All right.
Yeah,
All right.
and Iron Man's married to
But
Emma
but
Frost.
that but that,
Yeah,
that makes
right.
sense. That makes a lot of sense. They're wealthy. Yeah.
Yeah, I always wonder why wasn't Kingpin part of the Hellfire Club before? Did they like?
Right.
Did he not pass their vetting process? Did like
Right.
what? Like there had to be a reason. Did think they were too
Well, and
big?
right, and then there's opportunity in something like that to do a story where, because those guys are not mutants, do they have a different point of view and a different agenda than the mutants do? Like, I mean, that leads to tension and conflict and friction, and it's very dynasty.
Right, exactly. It's Dynasty. It's Billions. It's
It's
Succession.
succession.
It's
Yeah, yeah,
Succession.
yeah,
Especially
yeah.
showing how the generational wealth is. Like, you know,
Right.
or a way I'm looking at it, it's like did you ever see the show the Fall of the House of Usher? It was on Netflix. Like,
Yeah, I haven't. I know it's. I haven't seen it though.
okay, it's that kind of tone. Like just
Mm,
people were dying all over the place, and like the five are like, yeah, it's what is what it is. It's just a
mm,
regular day for us.
mm.
No,
Right, right.
it's a scary show. No, but like, what to you? What is the X-Men? Like, how do you see the X-Men? Like, just
Yeah.
like how do they mean to
I
you?
mean, I listen. I always loved the feared and hated in a world they're sworn to protect.
Yeah,
That is the thing that always that kind of hooked me as a kid. You know, and especially starting to read them at an age where like right before puberty hits, when you're going through all these changes, and that, oh, wait a minute, what these guys, the powers that these guys have comes just from birth, and at some point it could happen. You could
yeah,
wake up one morning and all of a sudden you're blasting ice from your hands. Like, I was like, come on, puberty, let's
yeah.
go.
They're like, we got
So
this.
that
I
was
can do this.
yeah, that was always the fun, of it. But again, the fact that it always kind of represented the story of outsiders, and I think that's something that so many comics fans, I think, that's why it tapped in so hard to a lot of us, I think, because we always, if we felt like outsiders, these were people that it didn't matter because they found friends, they found family, they found love, they had adventures. Like, it was aspirational in a kind of way, and
Yeah,
and also reassuring in a way that, like, no matter how hard you got it, it's going to be okay. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah. One is there? Oh wait, you say you don't read the books anymore. Uh, I was gonna, I was
Well,
gonna.
but okay, but
All right, what is something that from the that you miss personally that they don't do anymore in the X-Men? Like for me, I miss when they the breakfast
mhm,
small
sure,
issues where
yes,
like
they don't
what
do that anymore.
no, they haven't done that in
Oh,
years. Like most of the X-Men hate each
uh,
other and all of them hate Beast. He's a war
why? What did he
criminal
do?
now.
Oh,
Oh yeah, he's
well,
done. Oh, he's going up there. He's going up there with Stalin. He's put up real numbers, Stalin numbers.
wow, okay, I didn't know that.
Ben Percy's
I mean,
yeah.
did they go to Harry's Hideaway anymore?
Um, last time they did that was when Nightcrawler came back from the dead. No, 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 it wasn't. No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't. It was in 2019, right before Hickman took over. Harry's
Mm.
Hideaway was their headquarters for a minute. Um, yeah, it was a weird time right before Hickman took over and like
Yeah.
man, wow. He optimized. No,
All right.
no, what was your favorite story growing up? What was your your first issue where you like I love this. Like
Yeah,
I love
I can tell you, it was Uncanny X-Men 107. It was when they were, just before John Byrne took over the book, when they first went up against the Imperial Guard. Um, it's just that the Dave Cockrum splash page of that issue is seared into my brain,
it.
and was. it just blew my mind. I was what, maybe 6 years old. Um, and then so that was like the first issue I got. The next one I got was 113, which was fighting Magneto under the volcano.
Yeah.
It's sort of his return was 112, 113.
Yeah.
After that, 120 and 122 I didn't have 121. I had to get that one later, but that was 120 was, at the very end facing off against Alpha Flight.
Oh
So
yeah.
that was when they're on the plane, and then Sasquatch's hands are grabbing the bottom of it and preventing it from taking off, and then through it, and then, oh man, love that moment. Then after that, I haven't been getting X-Men comics for a little while until 136, which was obviously, Cyclops with Jean on the cover right
Yeah.
before the Dark Phoenix saga,
Right.
or right in the heart of the Dark Phoenix saga. And then when I got a subscription in 1980, and the first issue that arrived was part 2 of Days of Future Past,
Oh
which was the
wow.
cover is this issue, everyone dies. I was like, oh, okay, that's not a good sign.
Don't kill him. Don't kill him.
But that story, even though I'd only had the back half of it. So to start with, was that was mind shaking as well. That was it was just, and in a weird way, probably why I wanted to do the Mutants thing, where they get to time travel and meet their younger selves. That might have subconsciously worked its way into it, even though it wasn't like, I guess it was kind of an alternate reality story. So, but not really, because we were still in the same timeline
Right.
technically.
No, no, no.
But
See, it's coming. It's all coming back.
right, yeah. But that I love that. And then I was I was there from that point on regularly. I remember Cochran came back, Paul Smith took over. I love the Morlock story. I thought it was a great story. That was sort of a fun, and I don't know if I'm sort of conflating it with like, oh, this is kind of a cool time in my life, like as a
Yeah.
kid, like, but it was like part of what made that time in my life
Yeah.
so
It's a huge
happy for me.
ingredient. Yeah. Yeah.
It was like, I guess,
Yeah.
oddly, my Excalibur run was for you, which is very
Right. Oh no.
strange.
It was. Oh man. Okay. You wrote them so well though. Like I remember. All
Thank
right.
you.
I remember in issue 107, you had Colossus was holding the Cerebro. He was holding Cerebro in his armored form, while Nightcrawler and Wolfsbane were just like making repairs. And you had Colossus said something kind of smart. He said like, "Oh, he's a tech wizard, but he ain't no forge." And Nightcrawler's like, "Keep going. You're gonna be holding that till tomorrow, okay? Quit playing. Quit playing with me." And
Yeah. Well, you gotta make them people, right? Like
right,
camaraderie. So everybody loves camaraderie.
and like, and just like it was just so cool. It like you said, it was a major ingredient in my life. Like out
Yeah.
all the like they were just so fun. They were just like
Yeah. And that, yes. Yeah.
in
That's
the
the thing. That's what it was that I think. Again, I'm assuming comics are still fun. I assume
yeah, yeah, they're still fun. They're
everyone's still
still fun.
writing,
It's just like there's deeper
but
meanings
I
to it.
was
Yeah.
right. And listen, even when I was working in comics, there was definitely a tonal shift toward darker, heavier, grittier, which works for some characters, but I don't think it all has to be that. I don't think I mean, comics should never be, and hopefully are not, a monolith. They are not like it all has to be this, or else it's not good, or it won't sell. It's like I don't agree with that. And so anytime trends happen, you know, I think there's the stuff that's that rises to the top and sets that trend,
Yeah.
and whatever it is, and people may lash out against it, but that's ridiculous, because guess what? There's a million different. You have so many different options. If you don't like something, don't read
Hold
it.
on the
Read
next
something
thing.
else that you do like. Right? Like that might not be for you, but it's for someone. And if someone takes pleasure and joy and happiness out of it, then fantastic. That's what this whole business, aside from the financial side for the corporates of it all, that's for the audience. That's what it is.
All right, great answer. Great answer, man. No, it's just like, but once again, I want to say thank you so much for doing this. Like this this is so cool. Like um really able like I interviewed Lobdell twice, and like you're another one. Like I'm trying to like get like a collection, like see how many writers I can get on
Right.
here. Like this is a good run. Like you're really good. You're really like
Oh,
thank you so much.
no,
Um
my pleasure. Thank you for reading the books and thank you for having.
I wanted to okay. Dragons of the
Yeah.
Crimson Dawn. It's
Yeah.
probably my favorite. It's any art that goes 4 issues, it's a favorite. It's great.
Hmm.
What was your intention with that? Like with did you want to just write Brian out, or did you like in a heroic way, or just like what was the mindset with this?
I'm trying to remember. I mean, I know that that was sort of the end result of it. I don't know. I can't remember why we did it. I wouldn't say. I don't know if it was. Did I want to do it, or was it an editorial mandate? I'm not 100% sure what the genesis of that was. I know that I wanted to like when Scott and Joe Madureira introduced the Gomer and the dragons of or the Crimson Dawn as a
Crimson
concept,
Dawn, yeah, yeah,
the
right.
undercloaks and all,
Yeah,
like I was like that's such a cool world. I want to play in it. I was starting to get into anime and manga at that point,
yeah.
so I'm like, oh, this is I would love to just what can I do with it? What can I do? Have some fun with it. But I wanted it to mean something. I wanted it to you know affect the Warren and Betsy relationship. I
Yeah.
wanted to like again taking some of the fun soap opera elements of our book and put them in a scenario that by the end of it something different comes in.
Right.
Um, and I mean maybe God, I really wish I could remember why we depowered Captain Britain. Whether it was I don't think I would have chosen to do that. So maybe it was an editorial mandate. Maybe one possible explanation could have been you've got when you've got a team, you've got two strong guys.
Mhm.
It's like, do you really need two?
Right.
So we had
Right.
Colossus, we had Captain Britain,
Right.
but I don't think so because I really liked Captain Britain. So I
It's good.
don't think that was
He
my
he was an
I don't
interesting
know.
character. I would have loved to have seen like because you also brought in Black Air. You brought in Black Air
Mm-hmm.
briefly, but I always thought like okay, they're always in the background. Like like any
Mm-hmm.
government organization is always in the background. You can just like they're ready for you to call up. But you did other stuff
Well,
in
that was a Warren creation. That was
yeah,
right.
yeah, that
Warren
was a
created
war
Black
creation,
Air.
but
That
you
was
had a book, you had a story on
Pete
it,
Wisdom.
like talking about Pete Wisdom's
Yeah.
like his ex or
Yeah.
something.
Right,
Um,
right. Yeah, and again, that was a relationship I definitely wanted to end. was was Pete
I
Wisdom
was
and
a
Kitty.
voice.
Sorry, everyone.
No, 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 no,
That
no,
was
no.
that was a
Actually,
little.
a lot of people actually agree with that. They were like, they did not like the Peter and Warren. What was okay? Yeah, what was behind that? Like,
And I liked Pete. I
yeah,
liked Pete Wisdom. I thought he
yeah,
was a really cool character. I'm like, he does not belong with this girl. Like,
yeah.
I don't think it's right. It just something felt off and wrong, and uh, you know, um, but like I said, I liked writing him. I liked having him part of the team.
Yeah.
And again, you want
He
to
could have
shake
came
shit up,
back.
you know.
He could have came back after Kitty and the others left. They could have like, come on, all
Yeah,
right, she's gone. You can just come back.
right, right.
um,
Yeah.
what was the whole like with the Crimson Dawn? Like, oh well, you already explained, but like you did other little moments. You had like you changed Kitty and Wolfsbane's look. You had like the big wedding proposal. You had Nightcrawler
Mm,
like kind of getting his shit together. He's just like, okay, this is what I want the team to be. This is like we're
mm-hmm,
gonna go back to the basics. We want to be. We're gonna help mutants around the world.
mm.
That's gonna be our whole thing. Like what like it was great. I'm just because someone say it was amazing. Um just like what like did you have anything like with the Crimson Dawn? Did you want to build on it? Like what else did you have another plan for it or
No, I didn't. I kind of got what I needed out of it. And I think went as far as I was going to go with that story. Doesn't mean I wouldn't maybe revisit it later, but um, you know, knowing that it was going to be a 4-issue miniseries, knowing that it was going to have ripple effects into Excalibur, it was like, just try to treat it like a mini event, and then and see what comes later. Like, as opposed to always going back to the same well, I like to, have, to throw that pebble in the water, see what the ripples are, and then let that push things in a different direction.
I got you. I got you. Oh man, that's dang. Do you have any Marvel stories?
I mean, it was
Like
just a great
like
place to
just
work in
pitches,
at
like
that
pitches
time.
that you heard, like, wow, that was crazy. Or
Oh God, I wish I could say I remember crazy pitches. I
it's
don't.
all right.
It's
No,
been a
it's
long
okay.
time.
I'm sorry. I'm asking too much.
No, no, no. It's okay.
October 20.
It's a valid question. I mean, I will say though, like, I was lucky to work in the X office, which was a great place to work, at that time, especially because it was kind of, you know generating a lot for the company and for the editorial line. Um, one of the fun things is that fun fact about it is that I got to, we had interns that worked for us, just like I was an intern. We had other interns, and some of the most successful people in comics today came out of our office, such as Frank Thierry, the writer,
Yep.
Wolverine writer,
Yep.
Andy McDonald, who's an amazing artist. So like I got to see those guys at the start of their career, and it's very gratifying to have worked with them, in that capacity, and see that they've gone on to such great success because they're, as talented as they are.
Dang. Dang. That's crazy. But like, so wrapping up, I just want to say thank you, Mr. Raab. Is there anything else that you have coming up in the future, or?
Yeah, I mean, everybody, please watch the final 5 episodes of Quantum Leap season 2, which are going to start airing January 30th,
Nice.
Tuesdays, 10 o'clock on NBC, and then at midnight on Peacock.
Nice.
We have 5 episodes, but our last night is a 2-part finale. So it's a 2-hour event. My partner and I, Derek Hughes, we wrote the first half of that, so everybody check it out. Other than that, in the comic space, my partner Derek Hughes and Pete Woods and I are working on a comic book, which we will hope will be coming out later this year, probably through Jeff Johns' Mad Ghost imprint on Image.
Oh,
Um,
I'll watch out. I'll keep
and
out.
Yeah,
I'll
yeah.
watch out for
So
it. Sorry, I said keep out. Like,
yeah,
I'll
yeah.
watch out for it.
No, no, no. You're welcome. Everybody's welcome. Don't keep out. Everybody get in there.
Get everybody come. Everybody
So
come in. We
nobody
got
keep
we
out.
got
Everybody in.
chairs.
Yes, yes, and snacks.
Yeah, right. We have donuts.
That's right. That's right. We will have donuts.
No, but thank you so much. This has been so fun. Yeah. Uh, for Ben Raab on 4207 Great Malkin Lane. We'll see you soon.